All right. Well, hi, Jennifer.
Hi. Hi, Sandy. How are
Welcome,
you?
everybody. Oh, how am I? You don't have enough time. I had a Twitter meltdown today. Well, not
Ooh.
really. Not really a meltdown. More of a just a ask for I'm miserable help a little bit. But
hmm
so how are you? What I wanted to
I'm,
hear about was the temperature and how you're
oh
doing
my
there.
God. Oh my God. It is so hot. It's like 100-degree days. I've got these juniper trees that I planted about 20 years ago or so, and
Yeah.
they're tall ones, and they're just like big yellow patches, and it's not for lack of water. It's just too darn
Oh.
hot. So, I mean, we're really seeing the roasting of this place and other places around the world. I know that England is having, the UK is having a really big heat wave.
I know.
France is having a big heat wave in Europe. I mean, the heat is relentless and it's fierce.
I
It's
know
really,
people
really
are
fierce.
extremely upset, and some are just being, you know, a little laissez-faire from what I saw. I was just
hmm
screwing around with the settings. Hey guys, unapologetic vegan. Hi Kim, BB. Oh, France lost most of its lavender crop. Oh wow.
Oh, no,
That's
that's
so
so
sad. They make a
sad.
lot,
That's so
that's
sad.
gives a lot of people life. You see, that's the
Oh,
thing. Why, you're talking about the heat, and we were in a drought, but we did get rain, Jennifer, for a good soaking rain, which is,
mhm.
what was needed. But I feel like I felt so blue, just so blue the last few days.
Mm.
I mean, walking around and just wanting to cry over everything. And then is it news overload, or is it just, I'm trying to think, well, there's an event in my life that kicked it off that makes everything else feel lousy. And a lot of people
Yeah.
that are with us, they understand this. And the whole Twitter sphere was really good. I mean, I
Oh.
never post shit like that on Twitter.
Oh.
And I
Oh, man.
did. Yeah. And there was a lot of good people that
Yeah.
answered that had some ideas. One guy said, ride your bike stoned. Ride your bike stoned. But it was cool. And yeah, Wade in says the rain in Spain doesn't fall mainly in the plain. So we were just
Mm.
figuring out a little back and forth because, well, she's roasting and I'm dry, and everybody's got,
Mm.
issues. Hi, Patrick. Hi, Kevin. Hi, Dwayne. Expanding Minds, welcome. And it's great to see some of you, the names I don't know, new names. Katie's with us. Hi, Katie. Katie KS from
Mhm.
Pittsburgh. Our Rich Diana. Hey, it's really good to see. Jackie's here, unapologetic vegan, who's going to be our guest in 2 Fridays from tonight for a vegan show. So see, my mood is getting a little better.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, it's
s-
picking up. Just give us a
oh,
couple of good Doom articles, and we'll make fun of them, and you'll feel a lot better.
well, actually, yeah. I swear this is good to have you all here, really, because we actually have some good stuff to read. And hi,
Yeah.
Midas Lisa. Oh, before we start, we must show you Lisa's newest. It's absolutely
Oh,
gorgeous,
yes.
and I'm not even going to change anything.
Ooh.
I'm just going to make it bigger and smaller. It's snakes. Oh, it and she works hard on these beautiful. Look at that. This is her
So
2022. It's
this is beautiful.
gorgeous.
Is it a fire?
It's
That is that
oil canvas. Lisa, where are you? Tell us.
it kind of looks like the flowers are engulfed in flames.
Well, in our minds, it could be. It could be in her mind because she's now understanding all the things that she's along snakes in the grass, she calls it. But
Snakes
we
in the
love it.
grass.
We love
Okay.
it.
I
It's
love it. It's
beautiful. It's
beautiful.
absolutely beautiful. It's going to be our background tonight. And we are
Mm.
not using green screens. We are at home
We
tonight.
are.
We've decided to try again a little bit of background, ambiance of our
Yeah.
respective places that we live. Yeah, everybody thinks it's beautiful, Lisa. Yeah, I'm going to do another art show too with more of Marty
I love your
McCorkle,
art
and maybe
shows.
Marty is very near and dear, and Marty is not doing too well. And I love Marty, and I will be showing his stuff. He's right now he lives in the Philippines, and he is a
Hmm.
famous artist, Marty McCorkle.
Ooh,
So we're going to
very
be
cool.
doing another one of his show. Hey, tragic events. This is good. Wait, Patrick. Patrick says she's roasted and you're toasted. Neither one actually. Who looks roasted and who looks toasted? Well, yeah, she's roasted, but I'm not toasted tonight. Oh no. Oh no. No, 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 no. I'm just well, coasted. I can't think of
You're just
anything that
you're
can't
just
think of
yourself,
anything that
Sandy.
rhymes. Just myself. All right,
Yes.
guys. Oil. Oh wait, she just wants to say oil on the planet. Play on words. Ah, everybody's saying that.
Uh,
All right. Well, truly a gas. You're here. No, you're not late for much. Don't worry about it. Okay. So we are going to start. Jennifer, why don't you do your usual 30,000 look from 30,000 feet
all right.
from above? Look at what we're going to be doing.
All right, guys. Let's strap in and take a look. So, first thing we're going to be taking a look at tonight is after Sandy plays a little video, we're going to take an article from The Guardian, a very good one. Humanity faces collective suicide over climate crisis, warns UN chief. Antonio Guterres tells governments half of humanity is in danger, the danger zone, as countries battle extreme heat. So, we're going to be
Yeah.
talking about the extreme heat. It's so hot here in the Northern Hemisphere. And then we're going to get into a new article from Technology Networks Applied Sciences. Arctic air samples show how fast Earth is warming. So we're going to take a look, and that actually has to do with the Polar Stern, doesn't it?
Yeah.
'Cause she went
Some of the
there.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yes, yes, yes. And then we have an article from Wired just out on July 18th. Oh,
Wherever it
it's out
is.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Whoa. Why the Arctic is warming 4 times as fast as the rest of the Earth. And this
Oh,
is
there it is.
interesting. It's a
Yep.
very good article. The loss of sea ice is exposing darker waters, which absorb more of the sun's energy. It's devastating feedback loop with major consequences for the planet.
Yeah.
And
And
then
then we
we actually are ending. Yes, Sandy.
Yeah. Oh, we
Yeah.
might show a couple of Zach Labe Twitter from his Twitter feed. Play with Zach,
Yeah.
and then we have
Oh,
a
good.
guy named
That'll
Graham
be lovely.
Demaniuk who has some stuff he's reporting from the UK
Okay.
about the most fun things, fires and bad things that how we always just inform you with a little sugar and a little smile, right?
Little sugar, little smile, little doom.
Yeah. Well, yeah. A lot
Yeah.
of doom. Okay. So do you
And
we're
then
gonna Oh, yeah. Oh,
we're ending
yeah.
with the latest from George Tsakraklides, the
Sacrilege.
pair Tsakraklides.
Yay, George.
Yay, George.
Yep.
We've had George on before.
Oh,
The
yeah, we're gonna have him
paradox
again.
of innovation. George is just a great thinker. So we'll have
Yeah.
an excerpt from his new book in progress that is called The Upcoming Little Book of Doom. So
Yes. He's so
watch
talented, and
for
he's
it.
a scientist, and
And
he's amazing.
he
So
is.
let's
He's
so what
awesome.
we're gonna do is just play this little news bunch of crap I put together. I'm so
Mhm.
professional. This little news bunch of crap I threw together, and we'll come back. We
Okay.
will be back. Okay, we will. I promise we will be back.
Some very hot conditions across south central Texas. It's been that way for a while. It's going to continue to be that way for a while, too. Take a look at the latest from the Climate Prediction Center. They put out this outlook. It's the 8 to 14-day temperature outlook. And you could see it's been this way for a while. Most of Texas looking like that bright red color, showing that we're going to have well above average.
The buzz of helicopters filled the air, racing to extinguish dozens of wildfires burning across Spain. Roads are cut off and thousands of residents have fled their homes.
Pues muy mal, muy nerviosa.
I am doing very badly, very stressed and very badly. We are all very stressed. It's a shame how the fields are burning.
No cabe duda que 40 grados aquí.
At 104 degrees Fahrenheit, it's only making it more difficult to extinguish the fire. Climate change affects everyone. This area, which is green and cool in the summer, is becoming very hot, like the South.
Across the border in France, a similar story. Firefighters working to contain the flames of several wildfires.
We're dealing with very considerable drought due to insufficient rainfalls over the winter and spring, an especially dry month of May, and we now have particularly high temperatures, as you can feel.
The high temperatures extend north to the UK, where people crammed onto beaches in search of relief from the heat. Less than 1% of homes there have air conditioning. Authorities have issued an emergency declaration ahead of even higher temperatures expected tomorrow and Tuesday. From not enough water to far too much, flash floods inundated parts of southwest and northwest China this weekend. 12 people died and thousands were forced to evacuate their homes.
I mean, I do worry for people who are elderly and people who don't deal with the heat very well, but I kind of think it's only a few days and I sometimes think we're just overreacting to it.
I'm going to my office because it's nice and cool. I'm cycling around instead of taking the tube. Yeah, I mean, enjoying the weather. I went for a swim this morning in the Serpentine, which was really refreshing.
I'm pretty desperate. I mean, there is sweat running down everybody's backs, and it's quite the queue. But it's hot.
Is irrefutable that what we're seeing now is heat that just is clearly a component of that is human-caused climate change. And people have said, for example, the heat wave in Europe, I mean, it's 10 times more likely to see it because of the kind of human component, not just sunspots and ocean temperatures. It's actually people that are changing the climate. The climate is changing, but Heather, we're not changing. We're not keeping up with the kind of changes that we're seeing. We're not adapting to the change. We're not slowing it down by cutting back on fossil fuels. That's one issue. But we're not even dealing with the kind of events that we're seeing, and we've seen it for a decade or so. And going forward, it's just going to get more intense, and these things are going to be more commonplace. So the lazy, hazy days of summer are going to be more intense, they're going to last earlier, they're going to go longer, and we're going to see 40-degree temperatures in places like Montreal and Toronto.
Here we go.
It's hot.
The
heat is on.
We gave
The
you
heat
a
is
bit
on.
of a smattering of everywhere. And I just wanted to address Stephen Miles Cook. Thank you for saying that he goes and he says he spends his time hiking as many mountains as he can. And that's a good, these are good things to feel better. I try to spend all my time as much as I can when I'm not doing this. which is a lot of work, but outside, and my
Mhm.
gardening, which actually is frustrating me, Jennifer, as I was talking to you about the stupid drip irrigation and the water, and we got rain, yada, yada, wine. I wish I had a wine, like I could wine, like
Quack, quack, quack.
I don't have that. I don't have it. But you know what I could always do, Jennifer, very early?
Hmm.
You
What?
know what I could do?
Oh,
I know what
you
I'm
could
gonna
give.
do.
I know what you're gonna do.
Goodbye, shitty mood. There we go. Okay, so goodbye, shitty mood.
Right.
Jennifer, take it away
Goodbye, shitty mood. All
while I
right, baby.
fix what happened to the color, because I don't know. All
I
right,
don't
go
know.
for
Things
it.
have gone all bonky.
They went
Okay,
bonky, but
guys.
I'm fixing them.
Now, this is just out in The Guardian, and the wording, pay attention to this wording. I've not really heard it. Humanity faces collective suicide over climate crisis, warns UN chief. That's very strong wording.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It's not comforting.
And yeah. Antonio Guterres tells governments half of humanity is in the danger zone as countries battle extreme heat. Wildfires and heat waves wreaking havoc across swaths of the globe show humanity facing collective suicide. UN Secretary General has warned as governments around the world scramble to protect people from the impacts of extreme heat. Antonio Guterres told ministers from 40 countries meeting to discuss the climate crisis on Monday, half of humanity is in the danger zone from floods, droughts, extreme storms, and wildfires. No nation is immune, yet we continue to feed our fossil fuel addiction. And actually, it's funny, Sandy. I don't know if you played the video to yourself. He has a Spanish accent and he calls it fossil fool.
Oh, fossil fools. We're all
Fossil
fools.
fool.
Fossil fools.
It's really,
Everybody say it.
I don't know.
Should I play
Fossil
it? I
fool.
don't even know if it'll work.
No. I mean, it's at the
Yeah.
bottom. You can like
Okay.
at the bottom if you want to, but
Well, you guys
whatever.
could play it at the link, when I leave the link in the show notes. Sound good?
All
All
right.
right. Okay.
All right.
Take it
So yeah. He added, we have a choice, collective action or collective suicide. It is in our hands. And that's optimistic to think it's in our hands. I'm not sure it is, but that's another topic altogether. So wildfires raged at the weekend across Europe and North America. In South America, Machu Picchu archaeological site was threatened by fire. Extreme heat has broken records around the world in recent months as heat waves have struck India and South Asia. Droughts have devastated parts of Africa, and unprecedented heat waves at both poles simultaneously astonished scientists in March. So they were astonished. They were astonished. Right.
Astonished.
They were astonished.
Shocked. Dismayed.
Shocked. Dismayed.
Okay. Calm down, Sandra.
In the UK, an extreme heat warning was issued with the hottest temperatures ever recorded in the UK expected on Monday and highs above 40 C forecast in some places. That's hot. Ministers meeting in Berlin for a 2-day climate conference known as the Petersberg Climate Dialogue will discuss the extreme weather as soaring prices for fossil fuels and food and the impacts of climate crisis. The meeting, convened annually for the last 13 years by the German government, marks one last opportunity to hammer out the agreement. Yeah, you can always try.
One last boom, boom.
Before we roast to death among the countries before the COP27 UN's climate summit in Egypt this November. Okay. So
It's going to be hot there.
that's coming up. Yeah. Alok Sharma, who chaired COP26 UN Climate Summit in Glasgow last November, will be absent from the Berlin conference, though he will join several sessions virtually. He must stay in London to vote in the Conservative Party leadership talk about a country in peril and chaos. Poor UK. Vote in the Conservative Party leadership contest, which will determine who takes over the UK as Prime Minister from Boris Johnson. The clown.
Send
Oh
over
my
Bernie
God.
Sanders.
Oh my God. It's just like a dangerous clown.
It was from the very beginning. It was a joke. Brexit was a big party, a big
Yeah.
they did a whole gaslight to the whole country. All right, we won't go there. This is not about Brexit. Hi, Donald.
The UK still holds the presidency of the UN talks until Egypt takes on the mantle, and Sharma's absence raised eyebrows among some participants. I mean, this doesn't seem like an issue to me. Prospects for COP27 have dimmed considerably in recent months as energy and food prices rises have engulfed governments in an inflationary cost of living crisis, prompted in part by the gradual emergence from the COVID-19 pandemic and exacerbated by the war in Ukraine. We are so fucked on so many levels. Just so many levels of fuckness.
This is really helping
the
my
level
depression.
the level of fuckness is growing exponentially.
The level of fuckedness. That's a good
The
one,
level
Jennifer.
of
Thank you. The
fuckness
level
is
of
growing.
fuckness. This is not a
Yeah.
clean show tonight. Please don't
Not a
show it
clean
to your
show.
9-year-olds.
No. At COP26, countries agreed
shit.
to limit global heating to 1.5 C above pre-industrial levels, but the commitments they made were still inadequate to do so. All countries agreed to come forward this year with improved national plans for greenhouse gas emissions, known as nationally determined contributions, or NDCs. Frans Timmermans, the Vice President of the European Commission, who leads the EU bloc at the UN climate talks, dampened expectations for the conference in an interview with The Guardian. Quote, I don't see that many new NDCs on the horizon, frankly, he said, pointing to Australia with its new government as a rare exception. Sameh Suki, Egypt's foreign minister and president of COP27, will attend the Berlin talks this week, but his presence will be overshadowed by concerns over Egypt's own recently submitted NDC. The plan disappointed many observers who had hoped for much greater levels of ambition to set an example to other emerging economies. Guterres also sharply criticized the multilateral development banks institution, including World Bank, that are funded by taxpayers in the rich world to provide assistance to poor countries. He said they were not fit for purpose when it came to providing the funding needed for climate crisis and that they should be reformed. He said, shareholders of multilateral development banks, development countries must demand immediate delivery of the investments and assistance needed for expanded renewable energy and build climate resilience in developing countries. Demand that these banks become fit for purpose. Demand that they change their tired frameworks and policies to take risk. Let's show developing countries that they can rely on their partners. So that was kind of a mixed article, but I think the most interesting part of it was the language of collective suicide. I've not heard
unless it's
that before.
I mean,
from
I'm saying you haven't heard it. Right, collective suicide, but I'm wondering what's behind it saying it like that. Is it to get countries to give the money that they were supposed to the other countries in the Paris Agreement? I mean, is this a financial push? Is it a alarmist push? Can't hear you. You muted.
My apologies. I think it's an awakening on his part.
Okay. It's an awakening.
And
wow.
I think that it's a sincere understanding of the
From the heart.
jeopardy. Yeah, collective suicide. That doesn't reek of
No.
financial incentives to me.
No,
No.
thank you.
Collective
Thank you.
suicide. No, this is true. I mean, if he's saying the word collective suicide.
Meanwhile, Jennifer, I was researching, and originally we were going to do the show and we were going to talk about the Arctic Silk Road and the Belt and Silk Road, but there's just way too much to do. We weren't prepared to do that show, but we will.
Yeah.
And that is
probably
nothing
try for
but
that like on Sunday if you want.
holy shit. Yeah, it was. I mean, that's on steroids. That's just growth on steroids. And there's some interesting different viewpoints that I found, but there was just not enough time. So the next one, now this is interesting, and we're going into some research, and I can take this one.
Yeah.
And it's from Technology Networks of Applied Sciences, and I think it's also the first time we've used this one. So while climate change is taking effect everywhere on Earth, the Arctic Circle is feeling the effects most of all in the form of glacial melt, permafrost thaw, and sea ice decline, like we all know on this channel. Key players in climate change include the clouds that cover the Earth's surface and the microscopic airborne aerosols called ice nucleating particles that seed the formation of ice in those clouds. The dance of ice nucleation, cloud cover, and heat all have major roles in climate. But those all-important ice-creating aerosols, which can be mineral dust, microbes, or sea spray, have scarcely been studied in the Arctic, where they need to be studied most of all because little is known about their effects there, and not many scientists venture that far north. Colorado State University, Colorado, Jennifer.
We just love you.
Yeah, you have an amazing state.
We do.
You do. So much research. In 2019, an intrepid team, including atmospheric research scientist Jesse Crimean, boarded a ship, sailed north, garnered thousands of air, seawater, sea ice, snow, and meltwater samples, and brought home the physical evidence needed to determine exactly how ice nucleation and clouds over the Arctic ebb and flow with time. So Crimean and his team took to the frozen Arctic aboard that German ice-breaking ship called the Polar Stern, which we know and love, and the Mosaic expedition. So all of the stuff we said was going to come out is starting to come out.
Yeah, that's all full circle.
Yeah, that makes us happy. The CSU researchers' goal was to report never before seen observations of ice nucleating particles in the central Arctic, away from land-based locations that are influenced by terrestrial sources of aerosols. Mosaic was the large international expedition that hosted Arctic-focused scientific research projects from all over the world. In an open access paper published in Nature Communications, Crimean and colleagues report their direct observation of size-resolved ice nucleating particles in the Central Arctic, spanning the entire sea ice growth and decline cycle. So their results show a strong seasonality of these particles with lower concentrations in the winter and spring and enhanced concentrations during summer melt from local biology. No one has ever directly observed these cycles before in this region. How cool is that? It is important to know the natural background of these ice nucleating particles before we could really assess how the changes due to climate are affecting the populations of these aerosols. Explained Crimean, a veteran Arctic ocean goer whose research has taken her several times to the northernmost reaches of the planet. The team who worked on the analysis of samples collected during the Mosaic expedition and wrote the paper included CSU atmospheric scientists Kevin Berry, Tom Hill, and Paul DeMott. So, understanding such ice nucleating particles is fundamental to understanding the effects of climate change on this planet due to their impacts on clouds. And Jennifer, we've wanted to go more into clouds. We will in the wintertime when clouds are more prevalent. Adding ice to a cloud changes how it interacts with light and heat from the sun and the heat that bounces back from the Earth's surface. And ice is important for starting precip. So it's an important process we just don't have a good understanding of, especially in the Arctic. Crimean said. The models just don't get it right when it comes to estimating these ice nucleating particles or their cloud effects. So this was a big observation to have a look at where these things are coming from and how they change over the course of the year. So this is pretty damn cool.
It
You know
blows
what?
me away how
It's
much we don't know.
Big.
It is big. It is big.
Big.
And just that thing where, I mean, they don't have an idea of estimating it right when it comes to these nucleating particles in their cloud
Amazing.
effects.
I thought.
Wow.
I can't wait
is.
till all of this and more of the polar stern stuff comes out. It's exciting. Yes.
It is. It is.
Donald, what do you mean? What was that soundbite? Our thunderclap when things are exciting.
When things get very exciting, we like to express it. That's all it is.
And what might be exciting to us may be completely nerdy to other people, which we already know. But
that's okay.
That's okay. All right, take it away, Jen. You now are. This is your expertise. You love the heat. Not that we love the heat. She likes to explain it.
Okay.
Take
All
it
right.
away.
Here we go, guys. We'll take it away. Okay. This is an article that just came out July 18th in Wired. And they always write such edgy articles. I love Wired articles.
Cool.
Why the Arctic is warming 4 times as fast as the rest of the Earth. And I already told you about the dark seawater. I guess I can read part of it again. This is a devastating feedback loop with major consequences for the planet. The albedo changing in the Arctic to all that dark sea. It's just basically it's going from white to black, as far as absorbing energy.
From white to black sounds like a song.
Yeah, it's from white to black.
Mm.
All right. You may have heard that the Arctic is warming more than twice as fast as the rest of the planet, in a large part due to a gnarly feedback loop. As more sea ice melts, it exposes darker waters, which absorb more of the sun's energy, further accelerating the melt. That's wrong, as it turns out. Things are actually even worse. Those underlying warming processes, known as Arctic amplification, are indeed happening, but their rate is far more catastrophic than scientists first understood. Thanks to a torrent of temperature data, by late 2021, researchers were estimating that the region is actually warming more than 4 times faster than the rest of the Earth, with
Remember
huge
when we used to say it was
consequences
2?
for the whole. Yeah, well, we did. We did, and now we know it's not. It's now they say it's 4, but it's on an exponential curve, Or if you just want to say it's on a curve, we don't have to use the word exponential, but everybody gets it.
You mean
because yes, 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 yes.
I went back and I was looking at math problems after that show. Literally, I was going back to high school math.
It's okay. But let's just
between me and Jen.
read
All
the
right.
article.
Sorry.
No. I mean, I was triggering on the same thing.
I know.
Now everybody's curious
But
who didn't see the Elliot interview.
they'll have to
And
go
now
back.
you have to go back and watch it for
Yes.
themselves.
Yes.
And
We love
now a
Elliot.
June paper published by a separate group in the journal Geophysical Research Letters puts an even finer point on the problem, showing that over the last few decades, the Arctic hasn't warmed at a consistent, predictable rate. Quote,
Wow.
we have seen that these major changes are not smooth, as has been believed until now. They occur basically in two discrete steps, one around 1985 and
Wow.
then 2000, said Peter Chetek, a research scientist at Los Alamos National Labs and lead author on the study. Quote, after this last increase in the year 2000, Arctic amplification is about 4.5 compared to 2 or 3 times as fast as it was before. So now he's saying it's not 4, it's 4.5. It's even bigger. So
It's even bigger.
It's even
Jesus.
bigger.
Well,
Yeah.
that gets a gong. It's
Yeah.
bigger.
It's bigger.
Okay.
Mhm. So it's a significant change, you betcha. That means that the scientific community and policymakers have been referring to figures that are far too low.
Lovely.
A lot of papers by over 100%, guys. This is not like, oh, I made a 5% error or a 20%. No, 100% wrong. Just FYI, the difference between 2 and 4 or 2 and
Yeah.
4.5
Yeah.
is a lot, right?
Yeah.
A lot of papers have been citing this figure of 2 times greater warming in the Arctic than the rest of the planet for a long time, said climate scientist Lily Hahn, who studies the mechanisms of the Arctic amplification at the University of Washington, wasn't involved in this work. So it's nice to finally update this using the most up-to-date observations. What caused these sudden spikes in Arctic temperatures isn't yet clear, but the first one in 1980 was probably due to the increasing concentrations of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, Chetek says. The second spike around the turn of the century, 2000,
Oh my.
may have been due more to variability in the climate, for instance, changing ocean currents. So it sounds like they don't really know.
Oh.
Scientists have a good handle on what's causing the overall Arctic warming, though. Sea ice has a very high albedo, meaning it reflects a lot of the sun's radiation. But the underlying seawater has a low albedo, meaning it absorbs that energy. If you do look at satellite images of the sea, it can be quite dark, white to dark, black. So as that ice melts, the albedo of the Arctic decreases, hence raising temperatures, which melts more ice. It's a vicious circle, otherwise known as a escalating feedback loop that's out of control. This albedo effect is really translated into melting of sea ice in the summer and early fall, says Chalik. Because of this evaporation of water and because a larger area of water is open at that time, we get this water vapor into the atmosphere and formation of low-level clouds. As clouds, it turns out, play a role. Here we are again, clouds. It's all about the clouds.
It's all
Play
about
a
the
role
clouds.
in boosting temperatures. They bounce some of the sun's radiation back into space, sure, but they also absorb some of it like insulation. The low-level clouds that stick around through the winter, trapping heat against the landscape. So though in some part of the Arctic the sun doesn't come out at all during the depths of the winter, warmer summers and autumns prime the coldest months to get hotter. All the extra warmth of summer is also getting trapped in the Arctic Ocean, then released through the winter. The greatest warming in the Arctic is happening in winter, which may surprise people because you have the greatest sea ice melt in the summertime, says Hahn, University of Washington. That's when you have incoming sunlight. But the idea that there's seasonal
Wow.
ocean heat storage,
Yep.
it's like a
What Jim says.
giant radiator that warms up a room even after it's turned off, right?
Which
That's
is
that,
what Jim talks about. Yeah.
right, it's that
Jim
intro,
Massa, guys.
right.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what we talk about,
Hmm.
It's a ball that's rolling downhill. It's got, self-propulsion at this point. Simultaneously, storms have been transporting moisture from lower latitudes into the Arctic, further encouraging the development of clouds. And injections of warmer water from the south, brought north by ocean currents, further melt sea ice. As it melts, water evaporates and increases atmospheric humidity, which causes an increase in cloudiness in the winter. And we have infrared radiation coming from those clouds to the surface, said Chelik. This is one feedback loop that can cause increased Arctic temperature. And we believe that it is one of the reasons we will see this increase in temperature around the year 2000. University of Washington climate scientist Cecilia Bitts, who studies Arctic amplification but wasn't involved in the new research, points out that there has been a lag in how areas at high latitudes have responded to greenhouse gases compared to the rest of the planet. It's taken time for sea ice to melt. And now that it's doing so, the heat feedback loop in the Arctic has worsened. And the rate becomes more noticeable. The tropics warmed faster first, and now the poles are catching up, and now we see a trend. The consequences are already massive and far reaching. First and foremost, more melting, particularly in Greenland, which is losing 250 billion tons of ice each year, means higher sea levels, plus warmer waters get physically bigger, a phenomenon known as thermal expansion, further raising sea levels. The landscape is also suffering and metaphorical upheaval. Warming temperatures are thawing frozen soil known as permafrost. When that permafrost loses water, it collapses, dragging down any infrastructure in or above it, like pipelines, roads, and buildings. There are people in the Arctic, says Bitts. They did very little to deserve to live in this environment. And that is dangerous. Skyrocketing temperatures are also greening that landscape. Shrub species are marching north, and the vegetation traps more snow against the ground. This prevents the chill of winter from penetrating it, potentially accelerating the thaw of permafrost.
Oh,
All
boy.
that extra vegetation is also darker, just like how the sea itself is darker than its ice and thus absorbs more of the sun's radiation. Simply put, the Arctic is descending into climatological and ecological uncertainty. Each summer that my field research crew heads into the Arctic, we don't know quite what to expect, says Isa Myers-Smith, a global change ecologist at University of Edinburgh, who wasn't involved in the new research. This year, we arrived in Inuvik, Canada, in a heat dome with temperatures reaching 32 Celsius, which is 90 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow.
But out on the coast, there was still lots of ice, keeping the temperatures much cooler locally. This kind of variability makes it difficult for models to pin down how the Arctic is changing and to predict how those changes will go on to influence the larger climate system. That's why it's so important that scientists revise their understanding that the Arctic is actually warming more than 4 times as fast as the rest of the planet. One major concern is the potential for climate system to reach a tipping point, right? We've been
Yeah.
talking about that, in which warming kicks off rapid change. If the Arctic warms enough, for example, melting in Greenland might quickly accelerate. I don't think it's really precisely known. If these tipping points exist, well, I don't know, guys. Do you think it exists? Maybe it doesn't exist. Might be wrong. Maybe there's no tipping point. What do you think?
I don't know,
What
Jennifer.
level
Oh my God.
What level of warming would trigger such rapid changes? Said Michael Praviti, a climate scientist at Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory of Columbia University, who wasn't involved in the new paper. It's cracking me up how they're all saying, and this guy wasn't involved, and this guy wasn't involved. It's kind of funny, right? So, they haven't quoted anybody yet who's been involved, but it's okay. I just think it's funny. I just think it's funny. But he continues, in theory, a larger amplification factor increases the chances of passing one of these tipping points. Well, you think?
You think? That was really interesting.
It was interesting.
It was. I have lost the chat through the software.
Have you?
Yeah, I don't know why it's gone. And
Really?
but I see it on my phone that I have with me, but I don't have it on the software, guys, so I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully it comes back. Internet's been a little wonky tonight. Just figures. But that was an interesting one, and it's what I wanted to say, Jennifer, was do you notice that there's so many female climate scientists?
Yeah.
Well,
there are a lot.
Yeah, I wonder how long that's going to be able to go on in the United States. Think about it. You think females are going to be able to be climate scientists after the Supreme Court has its way with all the females in the United States? I mean, really, seriously.
I am so disappointed with this hatred of women. May I just say it? I am so
Say it. It's
offended.
pathetic.
I am so offended and disappointed in these grumpy old white men. Oh my God, it's the fucking death of the patriarchy, and they're striking out, and this is the result. And they just, you can't have your abortion. I'm going to take it away. You're not in charge of your body. Even if you're dying, even if you're on the table and your baby's just about dead, if there's a fetal heartbeat, we have to let you die. I mean, this is the mentality we are dealing with now.
Shit,
this is
guys.
it.
And
It
I
is
can't
beyond
even see
belief.
the chat. God
It's beyond
damn it.
belief.
It is beyond fucking belief. I mean, that's why I thought about it. All these wonderful female scientists, and, you know, be careful what you wish for these people, because all these like politicians in the United States, these right-wing females, are only there because of you know, their ability to go to school and affirmative action and equal rights, and then they want to take it away. They want to take it away. It's pathetic.
Bastards.
I'm really sorry. I can't put anybody's comment up. I can only see it on my. Yeah, it was like the weirdest thing. It's like Donald James, the last one, and then there's been plenty of comments on the phone, but I can't. Well, it's something to do. I don't know. It was weird. The internet, you got a little wonky too, and your voice for a second. I'm just wondering if there's something going on out there. Oh, Jennifer, there's definitely there's something going on. And it's involving my internet connection. They're after me. YouTube wants to shut me down.
It's the NSA. They got your number down, Sandy.
We're so controversial.
You got to face up to it.
Oh, no.
You know?
Oh, no. I just said that women might not be able to be scientists. Or we are a female show. Imagine if we get kicked off of YouTube because we're females in the United States. Oh, all this shit goes through my mind. Listen, one of the things, guys, that I was upset about this week was there's a medication I take, and it is for an autoimmune arthritis thingy, okay? So I suffer, but I don't try to suffer on screen. So I find out this week that methotrexate, the medicine, is now going to be on the banned list potentially, because one of the things it's used for is ectopic pregnancies. So for some reason they found that this medication that helps immensely with chronic pain in an autoimmune arthritic situation actually has now been on the radar of these fascist right-wing pieces of shit motherfuckers to take off. And if you're young and you suffer and you take methotrexate, which has been around since 1959, well then, guess what? You have to prove that you're not of childbearing age. I mean, it's pathetic. This is I mean, we're in trouble. You know,
We are in big
we
trouble.
are in
And it's
major
manifesting in the most horrid ways.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
I
I want to read you
know,
guys. I can't believe I
so
can't read
horrible.
this. Well, and we, it's true though. It's very true, and that's scary that it's a medicine that's been used forever, and that because a few, and an ectopic pregnancy is in the fallopian tubes can kill you. It kills women if you
Yeah,
let it
that's
burst.
right.
This is a
right.
pathetic time for the United
This is
States
a
of
pathetic time, and
imperialist.
that they
We
just
are a
feel so hateful. The hate is, you can feel it.
Yeah.
It's palpable. They hate
Yeah, it
women.
is.
They hate minorities. They hate, hate, hate.
Hate.
And
Yeah,
they're
we're
just
living in the
engulfed in
country
it.
of
It's
hate.
nasty.
The country of hate.
Yeah.
And it is hypocritical and sad. Ugh. And I
Ugh.
guess, potentially maybe that's part of why I feel shitty, because I'm watching the descent of the country I live in into a fascist country, and people want to argue about all kinds of minutia when
I know.
it could be right. It could be over. November could be the spelling of goodbye. And we never were really a true democracy. I mean, we tried. But anyway, why don't we move on and play around with Zach Labe, since I depressed every female in the crowd thoroughly. And maybe the chat will come back, which it has not. Although I can see you guys on my phone, but I can't show you. So Jennifer, I thought this was an interesting one if you
Okay.
wanted to take a gander, because I know I'm putting you on this one, but this was climate change and extreme events, and they're more
Okay.
probable and more intense. Many of these changes can be attributed to human influence. Why don't you take a gander at
Well, it
one?
looks to me like as the temperature goes up, the extreme events go up. X marks the spot. It's a little hard for me to see it just in
Okay,
this
I can't make it
format
bigger.
because that's okay. That's okay. But I can see it. It says extreme events have become more probable, proving
Yeah.
that I can still read it. So it is big enough to read. But yeah, temperature hot equal bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
know.
And then he came up with a new one, annual maximum temperature. And at 1.5, at 2.5, 2.0, at 4.0, basically how it's going to look and how it is
No.
moving up the chain.
Continue on with those things. So it goes all the way up to 4. Is that
Yep.
it? And what's the difference between the top set and the bottom set?
The top set and the bottom set is the high model agreement and low model agreement. I didn't send you this link to his Twitter page, his Twitter feed.
No, I don't think so.
I thought I
but That's
did.
okay.
All right. Well, he just
But
always
I
has
can see
interesting
that there are
stuff.
2 sets, right?
The
I'm
annual
seeing there's
yeah.
2 sets. There's 3 of these picture, and then on the bottom there's 3
Yeah.
more picture. And
The
the 3
max
on the
temp.
bottom go together, and the 3 on the top go together. So
Yeah.
the 3 on the top say it goes up to 4 degrees, and this is
Yeah, and it's it's the annual maximum temperature, which the TXX, which is actually not my strength here, median,
Right.
and then the annual, I guess it's the minimum temperature, TNN,
Okay.
median. So he's showing us the change in between these time periods. or the time periods in between 1.5, 2.0, and 4.0.
Yeah.
And it looks like I mean, when you look at pictures of Texas, and you look at pictures of the meteorological models, it looks
hmm
like Texas at the Texas looks like it's at 4 degrees C. Oh my God.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
happening, guys. I mean, we don't mean to be flip, and I know we're not,
No, we're
you
not
know,
tonight. I'm just feeling a little better because I'm with you, Jennifer.
oh,
That's why. Although I
why?
can't seem to figure out why nothing wants to work right on the show as far as color, sound, chat. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, they're following me, Jen. They're following
Oh yeah.
me.
Go
Okay.
ahead and be paranoid.
That I'm not. I'm only, well, I'm not even paranoid about all of the horrible things going on because I know they're going on. It's not even
Hmm.
paranoia. It's a profound sadness. And I think that's what's hitting me
Yeah.
is this profound sadness.
It's just burning. It's just the heat is relentless. And,
Yeah.
I'm looking at my garden trying to keep it alive, keep it
Oh, your
verdant, and
flower.
I just don't see any verdant stuff happening. It's like
No.
hot, hot, hot.
And you
Ugh.
have such a beautiful garden too. I
Oh,
mean, and I'm struggling because of drought. All right,
yeah.
let's see. What did he have? What did he have here? He had
Okay. What's this thing here?
temperature anomaly. This is just the temperature anomalies that exceed the color table during summer is never a good thing. Stay cool and safe from this
Oh,
unprecedented heat
geez.
wave. And this is from the Met Office.
Oh, geez. Look at France. Look at
Yeah.
Germany. Look at England. It is hot. Look at that. It's like a welt
We
right
care for
over
you
that
guys.
area. Oh
We
my
hurt for
goodness.
you everywhere. I hurt
That's
for you.
horrible. And you know what's also interesting, Sandy? Look at this drop of the cold anomaly. Do you see that cold anomaly where it's blue right next to that welt that is England, France, and
Yeah.
Germany?
Let me move this over a
That's
little.
a that's a bit of the polar jet stream breaking off, and mixing. You know
Yep.
how it draws down from the north and
Mm, 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 mm.
it's mixing. You know how the jet stream is all messed up and
Yes,
it's sort
people
of
like to send
broken?
me pictures of broken jet streams every now and then on,
Right.
yeah.
Well, and then you get stuff like this where you get these pockets that are probably coming straight down from the Arctic somehow.
Oh boy.
So that could be. I know that happens here.
All right, let's see. He's been busy. He
Yeah.
had anything else he's got that this was from 13 hours. Oh, he likes to do the anomalies across the Arctic over 12 months. So this one,
hmm
it's kind of small. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it since I didn't. Sorry, I didn't send you the link. He's just showing
You
from
might have, Sandy. You might
July
have.
to
You
June. He
might have.
shows a whole year of
Yeah.
temperatures compared to the average, and I can't make it bigger, but it definitely is showing that
Yeah.
October and November the anomalies were there. It's clear.
Yeah.
Copernicus, he gets his stuff from Copernicus. Well, I wish there was so. Oh, here's an interesting one.
Ooh,
Tragic day. This is a
very
historic and
color. Very
yeah,
colorful.
14 hours. Historic and unfortunately tragic day in Europe.
Huh.
And let's see. Yes, it's getting hotter, and this simple graphic explains it. Where
Uh-huh.
is it? Okay, so
Here
this
it
is
is.
the land temperature anomaly. Let's see if I can make this
Huh.
any.
This is
Oh,
a
I don't know
whole
if I.
new way to look at
Yeah, let's see what
to
this
look at
guy said
temperatures. I'm not familiar
from
with this
Forbes.
one.
Forbes,
Huh.
but no, I'm not either. I don't like Forbes exactly, but I can't make it bigger, guys, unfortunately. But
That's
we tried.
okay. Don't
Anyway,
worry about it.
at
Don't
least
worry. We
Zach,
we made a noble effort.
yeah, Zach thought
You
enough
know.
of that. And then here's this one. Now, I'm not sure
What's
I'm going to
that?
put the sound effects on. Let me see if they're even on.
It's a
But
fire.
yeah, this is happening in the UK. And like I said, our
Oh.
hearts are just with you guys. And I don't know if you can hear it or not. I doubt it, but just look at it. They might be able to hear it. I don't know because I can't see
Was
what's
that
going on.
the grass fire that got out of
That
control and it
no, this is
went
somebody's
crazy?
house. This is
Well,
in
yeah,
Dartford, Kent. Oh, I don't know.
but
I don't know.
that's just a house burning. It might not be due to climate change. Is this part of a climate
No, that's what they're
event?
saying. It's from the heat.
Okay. Oh, it's from the
It's from
heat
the
and
heat.
it's
Yep.
oh.
Yeah. I don't know, guys.
Wow.
Did
Oh my
you were you
goodness.
able to hear that? I can look and see if you were able to hear it. You should have been able to hear it. But you at least if you can't hear it, you can see it. And then he had more. This was from the Wennington fire. It's just a few miles over Tinder Dry Fields and suburbs before you come to the next one. And so, let me see if I can make this bigger. Oh, this one doesn't want to go bigger. They usually do, but you can still see. See how the fires are going from one place to another in the UK. I mean, these are, this is, we're just like, we're not used to it. So obviously it's horrible. And, okay, so that was what was on his showing. I guess he's a political figure, and I don't know much about him. So, all right, well, I think we're going to move on to the last thing, Jennifer. Why don't you bring up George, and then we will be right at about the hour 15. I can't
Hear me?
hear you, hon. Yeah.
Can
Yep,
you hear
we
me?
can now.
Okay,
Yep.
good.
Oh, we're just having one of those nights. Paradox of
Oh.
innovation, take it away, baby. This is our friend George Tsakraklides.
Yep, our good friend George, great thinker. As they develop, all human civilizations become increasingly dependent on the very innovations that fueled their original growth. Eventually, these technological or other innovations are integrated into the bedrock of civilization, becoming essentially building blocks that civilization simply cannot live without. Fire, metalworking, intensive agriculture, electricity, money, personal transportation, a regulated working force. With each stage of civilizational development, the list of innovations that are part of this bedrock increases. At each era, additional innovations emerge that depend on the previous innovations, e.g., internet depends on electricity, electricity depends on fire. The key observation to make here is that the list of essential components that a modern civilization needs in order to simply function become longer and longer with each stage of civilizational evolution. Starting as a simple wheelbarrow, this civilization eventually becomes a super expensive car with thousands of parts that come from various countries and manufacturers. It is much easier to fix a broken wheelbarrow than a Rolls Royce. That's good. 3 decades ago, we could imagine a modern world without email, but today we wouldn't even know where to begin imagining such a world. This change demonstrates the paradox of innovation. Even though innovations bring about capabilities and advancements, they hold his civilizations hostage to their own success. Once you have electricity, there is no option to ever go back unless the entire society collapses. Today, the internet is just as important as the discovery of fire by early humans. But it gets worse. Once one realizes that each innovation is in fact another Achilles heel, innovations are useless without the ecosystem in which they operate. Most innovations, in fact, are not even innovations. They're usually a synergy between two facets of technology that already existed separately. All innovations form a treacherous interdependency web. They become so dependent on each other that failure in one can bring about failure in all others. And while this web itself forms to create synergies between innovations, the synergy can also work in reverse when just one of the innovations suddenly fails. Whether it is a supply chain or the supply of electricity to various appliances, failure in one often means failure in all. Together we stand, divided we fall. The downward spiral comes out of nowhere for the simple reason that civilization had to been taken for granted, the synergy between the innovations as well as the innovations themselves. There was never an emergency plan in place, for example, if the world ran out of energy or internet, as is the scenario is yeah, as this scenario is existentially challenging even to imagine. The innovations are now part of essentially fabric and identity of society, not to be questioned by anybody. The civilization dies, and with it dies any memory or retrospective perspective over what led to the collapse. The erroneous conclusion is often it wasn't the haphazard web of innovations that was the problem, but extraordinary outside events. The cycle begins again with the next civilization making the same mistakes, inventing its own long list of innovations, its own long list of Achilles' heels. And this is from George's upcoming Little Book of Doom. Little Book of Doom. And I so
yes, he's been there.
That was good to see him there as well.
Yeah, he has.
This is actually kind of interesting. I'm going to read this part.
Okay.
George is an author, researcher, podcast host, chemist, molecular biologist, and food scientist. You can follow him on Twitter at 9090 Black Balloons.
Yeah.
That's got a lot of personality.
Black balloons. Is that a song? 99 Black Balloons.
Oh,
yeah, we
so
like
great.
George. We're going to do an interview with George soon, but because of the time, we can't have him live because of the time. So Jennifer, we're going to set up a day when it works so we can do an interview with him, and then I will edit it and bring it on.
Right.
Yeah.
He's in London, I think, right?
Greece.
If I'm not mistaken. Greece?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he's in Greece. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh.
Well,
I
he
thought
may have moved.
Greek. I thought he was
Did
Greek
he
and
move?
lived in London.
Well, he'll tell us
Okay.
if I've messed it up. But
Sorry.
no, honey,
I'm getting involved with details that don't matter.
They all matter. If it's you, it matters to me. Okay?
Right.
Okay. There you
you.
go. Well, unfortunately, guys, I can't see the chat, but on this little stupid phone, the internet's been all screwed up. So, whatever. We did a show.
Yeah.
I feel
we
better.
did a show.
Thank
I
you,
feel better.
Jennifer.
You feel better.
Yeah, I do. I
and
hope I stay that way.
We had 101 people at one point. So I hope that discussing all this doom kind of in a cathartic, weird way made them feel better.
I hope so, because it's there.
So.
And, we need to support, and there is that support community. Remember, there's the collapse community of Karen and Jordan, and there's and we're going to be having Carolyn Baker on in
when are we
about
having her
a
on?
month. About a month, because I need time to do her book, finish her book. She has a new book, and she's very supportive. Very supportive.
She is.
And so I can't tell you yet. I will let you guys know about tomorrow. I have no guest. And Friday.
Okay.
And then Jennifer and I on Sunday. This week is kind of on the down low, and then we start up with new guests and things happening. So
that's
there
right.
you go. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, we are, Soy Addle. It came back again. Hey, it's ECH on Twitch. We are on Twitch. I put us on everything. We're on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter. I think it goes live on Twitter.
That's great.
We're on everything. So, and YouTube. And I don't have moderators for and helpers for any of those other things. So I have no idea what goes on Twitch, and I didn't even share Facebook tonight. But you know what? Anybody wants to help us, write me. environmentalcoffeehouse@gmail.com. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Buy me a coffee. You know, that's our fundraiser. Like and subscribe. I love you guys. Jennifer, I love you too.
I love you too.
Thank you. All right, guys. Good night.